Hello and shalom to my brothers and sisters and Master Yeshua, the Messiah, who have his testimony and guard his commandments. Brother Nicholas James Vanderlane here, and today is the third day of the 6th month on YHWH's solar calibrated, non-Gregorian, 364-day calendar of the Book of Enoch, of the Book of Jubilees, of the Dead Sea Scrolls, of the Torah, of the Prophets, of the Gospels, of the Book of Acts, of the Book of Revelation. The Gregorian equivalent is August 21st, 2023. This video is being recorded on the island of Patmos, Greece. 25.
Nina?
Listen, one doesn't work. But because it's so panned out, it should be good. Get in your number spot. Can you see, or is this good where you can see everything right there? Or no, maybe from here? With that 0.5, can you see it all or no?
Yeah, I see most.
Almost?
Yeah. It's good.
We get close, guys.
It's
get
good.
Close, okay? Everybody, here we go.
Here we go.
Island of Patmos, you guys.
Good.
Can you believe it? We're here. And this video is titled Secrets of the Book of Revelation of Messiah Yeshua, revealed from the island of Patmos. The one overcoming, the man-child of the Revelation 12 sign, the rod of iron and the morning star, and the second Messiah, the Prince. That entire list that I just read to you has to do with new information, a new discovery I found on the Revelation 12 sign of September 24th, 2017. Specifically, the rod of iron that's given to the man-child. But there is the rod of iron that is between the feet of the lion. Between Judah's feet is the iron scepter. And this is amazing information that goes in with this Revelation 12 sign and the message to the overcomer of the book of Revelation. And I'm going to prove from Messiah Yeshua's own words in the book of Revelation and from Psalms 2 that this sign that we all witnessed is the sign of the second Messiah, Yeshua's Messiah, which is the sign of the Son of Man. We completely missed it, but I'm going to prove from Messiah Yeshua's own words that Messiah Yeshua has a Messiah himself, an anointed one, who is his servant, and that this is what this sign was about. And you will not hear about this really anywhere on YouTube, more than likely. And as I have said in the past, this sign in the book of Revelation chapter 12 was called the Great Wonder in Heaven. John said he saw a great wonder in heaven. And when this sign came and went, it left us all wondering what the sign was. Everybody thought that the rapture was going to happen on the day of the sign. The rapture didn't happen. It left us all wondering what this sign meant. And as I shared with that previous video from 3 years ago, over 2 years ago, that this is the judgment component of the sign. The moon was under the feet here in the judgment scales. Though this world is going to be judged. Satan is going to be judged. This world is going to be judged. And now with this new component that I discovered and identified of the rod of iron, I'm tracing the rod of iron theme all throughout the book of Revelation in this video, and I'm going to prove that Messiah Yeshua has a servant, end-time servant, who is the end-time Son of Man, who is Yahweh's anointed, Yahweh's Messiah, a second Messiah from Psalm 2, from the book of Revelation, from Genesis 49, from Numbers 24, and all of that. HallelwYAH. There is a blessing in the beginning of the book of Revelation in chapter 1, verse 3. It says, "Blessed is the one reading and those hearing the words of this prophecy and keeping the things having been written, for the time is near." So there is one person reading, and then there is a group of people, those hearing. That translation is not the King James. The King James translates it as he, but the real meaning in the Greek, but also in the Aramaic, is the one. And you can see that here. And that's very important to understand. If you've been reading the book of Revelation in the King James Version,
They translate it as he, but it's better. A better translation is the one. And you can see it's the one reading and those hearing.
So the Greek word for the one, which is implied, one is implied just as he is implied, it is article nominative masculine singular, while the Greek word for those is article nominative masculine plural. So saying he in the King James is acceptable because it's masculine singular, but also the one, implying the one, is masculine singular as well, and it makes more sense. It looks like it can be translated both ways as he and the one, but the most important thing to understand, it is masculine singular, because here you can see all the different translations into English of Revelation 1:3. You have the one, and then you have is he. The one is he. The one is he. The one is he. So you have he and one. And then down here in the Aramaic, which is another go-to of mine that I like to always look at how they did it, it's the same. There's two different. You have the one and he. So it can go either way, but the most important thing to know, it's masculine singular, and it's talking about one person.
At the end of the book of Revelation, many know there is curses. So there is a warning now. Revelation chapter 22, verse 18 to 19. So I got to read that warning. For I testify together with everyone hearing the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, Yahweh will add upon him the plagues having been written in this book, which is the book of Revelation. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, that's the book of Revelation, Yahweh will take away his part from the book of life and out of the holy city and of the things having been written in this book. So this is important that we get this right.
Correctly dividing the word of Allahim, correctly interpreting the prophecies in this book. Not adding to it, not taking it away, not saying anything more than what it is, and not diminishing any less than what it is. Because there are serious consequences regarding doing so.
Here are two of my videos that I made over 2 years ago and over 3 years ago with amazing new information, new insight, new understanding, new revelation of hidden things in the book of Revelation. So 3 years ago, I did a video called HallelwYAH, Elijah the Overcomer of the book of Revelation. And then over 2 years ago, I did new info on the Revelation 12 sign, and that the Revelation 12 sign also has a component of judgment to it. Because really, when the moon moved under the woman's feet, it was in the judgment scales on the 24th day of September 24th during the daytime. So as I shared, I'm right now on the island of Patmos. And last week, before I came to the island of Patmos, I took my family to see the 7 cities of the 7 congregations in the book of Revelation. And with my children, I just read and delivered the letters. But also in the video, I shared that the promises in each letter are not a corporate promise. It's not to a promise of a group of people. So the gifts are not to the body of Messiah, but rather they are to one person. And like I shared in my video from 3 years ago, I explained that this overcomer person is the one overcoming, who is this end time Elijah type prophet. In this video you are now watching, I will explain from the book of Revelation of Messiah Yeshua that this end time YHWH type prophet, who is the one, quote, the one overcoming, is also the second Messiah, the Prince, the end time Messiah, who is also the servant of Messiah Yeshua, as I'll explain. And I will be doing so in this video by connecting the rod of iron theme in the book of Revelation.
And then matching it up with the rod of iron theme, the iron scepter theme in Psalm 2, Genesis 49, and Numbers 24. And when we do so, we see the context of Revelation chapter 2 that Messiah Yeshua is speaking of his Messiah, just as in Psalm 2, Yahweh is speaking of his anointed who gets the rod of iron And by lining this up, we see the true picture of what this sign is about. The man-child, the remembered one of Yah. HallelwYAH.
In the book of Revelation, the rod of iron is mentioned 3 times in 3 different places. And by getting this context of these verses, we can see who this person is. The rod of iron thread in the book of Revelation. Revelation 2:27, quote, "And he will shepherd them with a rod of iron, like the vessels of the potter they shall be shattered, as I also have received from my Father." Revelation 12:5, "And she brought forth a male child, a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to Elohim and to his throne." Revelation 19:15, quote, "Out of his mouth goes forth a sharp sword, that with it he might smite the nations, and he will shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the wine of the anger and of the wrath of Yahweh Shaddai, Almighty." As I just said prior to reading those verses, by reading the context of these verses that contain the thread of the rod of iron, and connecting that thread of the rod of iron
with Psalm 2, with Genesis 49, with Numbers 24, and all these verses in Revelation,
seeing the context, we will see that, quote, "the one overcoming," in quote, is the man-child, and who is a Messiah, the end-time Messiah, who is the servant of Messiah Yeshua, as I will explain in this video. And I've already explained in my video over 3 years ago, I explained that Messiah Yeshua has an end-time servant. Not the 2 witnesses, but an end-time servant. In this video, Elijah, the Son of Man, Yeshua's end-time servant, I break down a very cryptic prophecy that's been hidden by Messiah Yeshua, and I explain that. Messiah Yeshua said in Luke chapter 17, verses 40 through 44, he says, "Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not." Then Peter said to him, speaking to Messiah Yeshua, Peter says, "Master, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all?" And the Master, Yeshua, said, "Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his master shall make ruler," which is a sar, "over his household, to give them their portion of meat, of their bread, to give them their portion of their bread in due season? Blessed is that servant," singular, "whom his master, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he," the master, "will make him," the servant, "ruler," sar, "over all that he," the master, "hath." So Messiah Yeshua is going to, as I shared in this video from over 3 years ago, his servant is going to be elevated to a level of a co-regent or the second in the kingdom, just like Joseph was elevated to the second in the kingdom. Okay, so a ruler. This video is about Messiah the Prince, the same Messiah the Prince of the prophecy of the book of Daniel. Okay, Messiah Yeshua is Messiah the King. This is the Prince, totally different. But this is a cryptic passage of Messiah Yeshua gave that I broke down over 3 years ago, that about this ruler, about this servant, okay, who is going to do that. And I'm going to share more and elaborate more. So Messiah Yeshua is speaking of the one overcoming who will rule with the rod of iron. And that's what this video that you're watching is about.
Important to note, in my video over 3 years ago, I did not make the connection that this person is a Messiah. I just did that recently by following this rod of iron thread after identifying the rod of iron constellation, which is what we call sextants in stellarium. There are two stars there, and it's totally the rod of iron. So with that being said, I put this all together just recently, and so this is a build-off of this video from 3 years ago about Yeshua's end-time servant. His servant is also the end-time Messiah, which I will prove. So now it is time to look at the context of the passages in the book of Revelation that contain the rod of iron. And we're going to look at the thread, and we're going to get the context of who's speaking and who is it speaking about.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 26 through 29. And the one overcoming and the one keeping my works until the end, I will give to him authority over the nations. We read about that in Psalm 2, verse 8. And he will shepherd them with a rod of iron. Like the vessels of the potter, they shall be shattered. Psalm 2, verse 9. As I also have received from my Father. And I will give to him the morning star. The one who has an ear, hear what the Spirit says to the congregations. So now I just read to you this verse of the rod of iron in context. And we can see this is to the one overcoming. He's going to be given authority. The servant, the end-time servant, is given the authority to rule here on earth while Messiah Yeshua is in heaven, possibly. But he's given the authority to rule over the nations. This is not a corporate thing to the body of Messiah. This is to the prince, to the servant.
This thought process next is a little out of order, so I have to insert my commentary here. But it's important to note that the person that is talking and speaking here, giving these promises, is Messiah Yeshua. And he's speaking to the one overcoming. So here we have in Revelation 2:26, Messiah Yeshua is quoting Psalm 2, verse 8 and 2, verse 9. And that is really important because when we look at Psalm 2, verse 8 and 2, verse 9, we get to see who this is talking about. And it's mind-blowing about what's going on here in the book of Revelation and what Messiah Yeshua is saying to this person. Because it's the same thing that's being said in Psalm 2.
And I'm now going to read Psalm 2 to explain. And here at the morning star, that's also another thread I'll take a look at later. But Revelation 22:16 is also speaking of the morning star. Psalm chapter 2, according to the King James Version. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed. And that's the Messiah, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Yahweh shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahweh hath said unto me, thou art my son. This day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. So here we see Psalm 2. And this is very interesting. As I just shared, we see the same thing here in Revelation chapter 2, 26 to 29. This is Messiah Yeshua speaking. And we know that because he says, as I also received from my Father. And the one overcoming and the one keeping my works until the end, I will give to him authority over the nations. Messiah Yeshua is saying this. He's going to give this person, the one overcoming, to him, one person, authority over the nations. and he will shepherd them with a rod of iron. Like the vessels of the potter, they shall be shattered, as I have received from my Father, and I will give to him the morning star. So clearly, we see this, that these are Messiah Yeshua quoting Psalm 2, verses 8 and 9, as you see right here. 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of thy earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Messiah Yeshua is quoting Psalm 2, verse 8 and 9, this messianic psalm regarding Yahweh's anointed, here in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, in a promise to the overcomer. And we know that this is Messiah Yeshua
speaking to the overcomer.
So the person that is speaking and making the promise in Revelation chapter 2, 26 through 29, is the same person in Revelation chapter 1 who is speaking to John. This person in Revelation chapter 1 says, quote, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last. And then in Revelation chapter 1, verse 17 to 18, the same person goes on to say to John, quote, I am the first and the last. So he says that a second time. He says, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore, so be it. Then in Revelation chapter 1, verses 12 through 16, John gives a description of this person.
John describes this person.
He's described as one like unto the Son of Man.
So not the Son of Man, but one like unto the Son of Man. Speaking of Messiah Yeshua, the first and the last. So the Messiah Yeshua is not the Son of Man, but one like unto. That's the appearance of the Son of Man. Which means that the Son of Man looks like unto this person speaking. But a likeness, not the same, but a likeness.
And as I just read in Revelation chapter 2, verse 27, it is clearly Messiah Yeshua, the Son, talking, as he says, as, quote, also received from my Father. As I also have received from my Father. So in here, this is Messiah Yeshua speaking, the Alpha and Omega, the Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last. He that liveth and was dead, Yeshua died, and behold, I'm alive forevermore. That's him speaking in this promise to the overcomer. And he's quoting a messianic psalm, Yahweh's anointed. So this is why I'm talking about the second Messiah being revealed right now on this video from the book of Revelation. So now the second place in chronological order
in the book of Revelation,
where the rod of iron is mentioned, is in Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 through 5.
Describing the great sign of Revelation 12 that we all witnessed on September 24th, 2017.
And a great sign was seen in the heavens, a woman having been clothed with the sun, and the moon was underneath her feet, not at her feet, underneath her feet, September 24th, 2017, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And having a babe in her womb, she cried, being in labor, having birth pains to deliver. And another sign was seen in the heavens, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 crowns, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of the heaven, and he throws them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, being about to bear, so that when she bears, he might devour her child. And she brought forth a male child, a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to Elohim. Her child was raptured to Elohim and to his throne. So here we see the man-child being raptured to his throne. And I'm going to show you in the book of Revelation where we see this person, this overcomer, this man-child, okay, the second Messiah being caught up to Elohim and to his throne in John's visions that he saw. But clearly, this person to rule all nations with a rod of iron, that's Psalm 2, which is the messianic psalm.
So the great sign of Revelation 12 is speaking of Psalm 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of this earth, okay, and the rulers take counsel together and against Yahweh and against his anointed, Yahweh's Messiah. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Yahweh shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. So that's the man-child being raptured to the throne. Where is Yahweh's throne? On top of his holy hill, high spiritual Zion in the heavens. Okay, so the man-child is caught up to Yahweh's holy hill in the heavens, to the throne. I will declare the decree. Yahweh has said unto me, Thou art my son, and this day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the othermost parts of the earth for thy possession, and thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, O judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, the man-child, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Revelation 12 sign is specifically speaking of this same event of Psalm 2, speaking of Yahweh's anointed, and this person is given the rod of iron. As we see, the man-child is given the rod of iron, and it's literally in the sign of the Revelation 12 sign. The rod of iron is literally in the constellations right there. It was later given the name sextants, but it is actually right here in Stellarium, and this is how they have it with two major stars that make up this constellation sextants, which is a recent constellation, but it's been there the whole entire time, and it's part of the same story of the Revelation 12 sign. So there are at least 4 constellations in this Revelation 12 sign.
Messiah Yeshua quoted it, and here we see it right here in context. So the man-child, which is Zakar, which means remembered, just like Zechariah, the remembered one of Yah. Zechariah is the remembered one of Yah. This is the remembered one, the man-child, okay, is to rule Psalm 2. And as I shared September 24, 2017, I did a video on this. The sign did not occur on the 23rd, on the daytime of the 23rd. The moon moved under the feet of the virgin right here, the woman with child, on September 24th. Not at the 23rd, the moon was like right here at the feet, and then it moved right here on the 24th underneath the feet. And when it happened, the moon was in the judgment scales. And that's a sign of judgment. That's the judgment component. The judgment of this earth, of this world, and of this earth is going to be judged. And it was a daytime sign because the woman is clothed with the sun. So it happened here. This is the day that it happened. 12 stars. And what do you know? They see the scepter right here between the lion's feet. So we see the rod of iron right here, which is aka this iron scepter right here between the feet. The rod of iron right here. We missed this, guys. It was right there, September 24th, Revelation 12 sign. We totally missed this. Haven't seen anybody talk about the judgment skills that I shared about, HallelwYAH. Haven't seen now anybody talk about the rod of iron that's right here, that's between the lion's feet in the Revelation 12 sign, which is the September 24th sign, HallelwYAH. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring in scriptures regarding the rod of iron. Genesis, Bereshit 49 verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver between his feet until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. The American Standard Version says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. Judah is the lion, guys, from between his feet. You see it right here. Until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the obedience of the peoples be. Why are they going to be obedience of the people? Because he's going to rule people with, Shiloh is going to rule people with the iron scepter. The Aramaic translation into the English says, the Aramaic Targum, the scepter will not depart from Yehudah, nor a prophet from between his feet, until he will come whose it is, and the nations will look for him. And then you have the Britain Septuagint, the Greek Septuagint, a ruler shall not fail from Judah, nor a prince from his loins, until there come the things stored up for him, the prince, and he, the prince, is the expectation of nations. And just as I shared in Psalm 2, bring it all the way back to Psalm 2, I'm connecting Genesis 49 with the book of Revelation of Messiah Yeshua, given here on the island of Patmos, with Psalm 2, the Messianic Psalm, and it's all right here, guys. It all goes together. HallelwYAH. I hope that you all are blessed hearing this. Also, we see the rod of iron in Balaam's prophecy of Numbers chapter 24, verse 17. King James Version says, speaking of this rod of iron right here, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Remember, a crown of 12 stars? Well, here's the scepter that goes along with it in Numbers chapter 24, verse 17. HallelwYAH. The scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. The American Standard Version says, I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not nigh. There shall come forth a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. The star being the man-child that was in the Jupiter, what we call Jupiter, the Zedek star, that's we call Jupiter in Virgo's womb. A star shall come forth out of Jacob, the woman, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. The 12 stars right here, that's the crown of Israel, and shall smite through the corners of Moab and break down all the sons of tumult. The Aramaic Targum, the Aramaic Bible in plain English says, I saw him, and not from now, and at the end, and it is not near. The star shall shine from Jacob, and the prince shall arise from Israel, and he shall destroy the mighty men of Moab, and he shall subject all the sons of Sheith. And then finally, the Greek Septuagint, translated by Brenton into English, quote, I will point to him, but not now. I will bless him, but he draws not near. A star shall rise out of Jacob. A man shall spring out of Israel, and shall crush the princes of Moab, and shall spoil all the sons of Seth. Wow. So we see right here this sign. When I read Numbers 24 in this prophecy, I see that this is actually what David did. But this person is going to be a son of David, as I've explained in my videos before. This is in Ezekiel, he's called David my servant, and in another part he's called my servant David, which are titles of this end-time Messiah because he is related to David. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, there is a lot of commentary on Numbers 24:17, and if I have time for it in this video, I'll go over the commentary from over 2,000 years ago by people commenting on Numbers 24:17. This is well after David, but over 2,000 years ago. They didn't apply Numbers 24:17 to David, but David did do these things. He did smite the corners of Moab and whatnot. So I'll go ahead and take a look at that if I have time. But now I have to stay on this iron scepter theme in the book of Revelation because there's a third and final spot of the book of the iron scepter mentioned in the book of Revelation. Now we have reached the third and last location in the book of Revelation where the rod of iron is mentioned. And I've gone in this in chronological order of the book of Revelation, starting with the first mention of the rod of iron in Revelation chapter 2, then the second mention of the rod of iron in Revelation chapter 12, which is the man-child sign, the great sign of Revelation chapter 12. And now this is the third location of the rod of iron mentioned in the book of Revelation, in Revelation 19, verse 9 through 16. This is a very difficult, challenging section, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it the best that I can and tie it into the rest of the scriptures to prove the identity of this person being Yeshua's end-time Messiah, Yeshua's end-time servant, who is the end-time Messiah. Revelation 19:9, verse 16. Quote, "And he said to me," John, this is Yohanan, "Write, blessed are the ones having been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he," this person, "said to me, these words of Yahweh are true." So who is this me person that is speaking to John right here? That's very interesting. And I want to point out, you see this right here, Luke 21:31, verse 37? Well, that's speaking of the marriage of the Lamb. And what I shared with you about that prophecy of the servant of Messiah Yeshua, who is going to become ruler of all of Messiah Yeshua's goods, that's in Luke chapter 12, verses 40 through 44. So it's connected to this marriage supper. So this Luke 12, 31, 37 is the marriage supper theme, and it's connected to the ruler and the servant, the Tsar, the prince. And here we see the same thing right here in Revelation 19. This is the marriage supper of the Lamb. "And I fell before his feet to worship him." This person that's saying something to John. But this person says to John, he said to me, "Behold, stop. I am a fellow slave of yours, John." Basically, John, "I'm your fellow slave of yours," speaking to John.
Important to note, to be a slave, which is the same thing, same word as a servant, you have to be purchased. So this person was purchased by Yeshua with what? With Yeshua's blood. Because this person, as I've shared in my previous videos, is a sinner who has been purchased by the blood of Messiah Yeshua. Therefore, he is Messiah Yeshua's slave, Messiah Yeshua's servant.
"And of your brothers, having the testimony of Yeshua, worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy." So wow, this is something here. John's going to worship this person after he's told these things about the marriage supper of the Lamb, how blessed the ones having been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then he said to me, "These words of Yahweh are true." And then John falls down at his feet because John, he's seeing how good this is. He falls before this person's feet to worship. But he said to me, "Behold, stop. I'm thy fellow slave of yours." So this guy is now literally on the same level as John. He's a slave, a servant. Just like I shared with you in Luke chapter 12, verse 40 through 44. The servant who is a slave, who's a bondslave of Messiah Yeshua. This is this person speaking that I'm going to share and prove.
"And I fell at his feet to worship him, but he said to me, Behold, stop. I am a fellow servant, and of your brothers, having the testimony of Yeshua. Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy."
"And I saw," this is John speaking, "and I saw heaven being opened, and behold, a white horse. And he sitting on it, having been called Faithful and True. And he judges and makes war in righteousness. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, with many titles written on it. And one of the titles that had been written, no man knew but he himself." Now the overcomer, the one overcoming in Revelation chapter 2, verse 17, he's given a white stone with a new name on it that no one knows but him. So that's tying this person. I'm trying to tie this person in Revelation 19, sitting on the white horse, with the one overcoming in Revelation chapter 2.
And I'm going to be doing so using the rod of iron theme connection coming up in this section.
"And having been clothed in a garment which has been dipped in blood." See, Messiah Yeshua, he didn't have to have his garment dipped in blood. He was the unspotted lamb. It was his blood. So this person in Revelation 19 has a garment dipped in blood. Could it be the blood of those that he trampled on in the great winepress of Elohim? Or could it be dipped in blood, speaking of Messiah Yeshua, right? Dipped in blood. So it's been submersed in blood. And this person has the testimony of Messiah Yeshua because he has the testimony of Yeshua, which is the spirit of prophecy. So he has this garment which has been dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh.
So why is this person named with a title, the Word of Yahweh? And the reason why is because we read about him in Psalm chapter 2. So David, in all of his Psalms, wrote about this person, just as David also wrote about Messiah Yeshua. Also Isaiah wrote about this person. Also Jeremiah and Ezekiel wrote about this person, and Zechariah and Haggai and all the prophets. Don't want to misname any of the prophets, but all the prophets wrote about this person. Even Moses likely wrote about this person and prophesied about this person all the way back to Enoch, writing about this person, the Son of Man. Psalm chapter 2. Remember, at the beginning of this video, Messiah Yeshua in the book of Revelation chapter 2 quoted Psalm chapter 2 regarding his promises to the one overcoming. We're speaking of Yahweh's anointed.
And the armies in heaven followed him on white horses, being dressed in fine linen, white and pure, and out of his mouth goes forth a sharp sword, with it that he might smite the nations, and he will shepherd them with a rod of iron. Which is Psalm chapter 2, which is Revelation chapter 2, the promise to the one overcoming that Yeshua spoke.
Which is Revelation chapter 12, and that the iron scepter is given to the man-child that's in the womb of the great sign of Revelation chapter 12 that we all witnessed, which is also Genesis 49:10, which is also Numbers 24:17.
It was Yeshua in Revelation chapter 2, 26 through 29. He quoted Psalm 2, speaking of the one overcoming is going to fulfill Psalm 2 with the rod of iron. And here we see that this person that is on the white horse in Revelation 19, his garment is now dipped in blood, the blood of Messiah Yeshua, possibly and likely, or the blood of the people of the earth that he trampled on. And he treads the winepress of the wine of the anger and of the wrath of Yahweh Almighty. That's what this person does. That's the same thing in Psalm 2, the Messianic Psalm. Yahweh's anointed, the second Messiah. Yeshua is the Messiah. This is Yeshua's servant who has also become a Messiah, who doesn't receive worship, who worships the Father. Behold, worship Elohim. And he has on his garment and on his thigh a name having been written, King of Kings and Master of Masters. That is really strange. This is such a strange thing of what's going on here. Because he's a co-regent. This is possibly why he gets to wear this name, this title, King of Kings and Master of Masters, because this servant is going to be sitting with Yeshua in Yeshua's throne, sitting with Yeshua in Yeshua's throne, as Yeshua is sitting in his Father's throne. So this person is becoming a co-regent, sitting in Yeshua's throne, wearing Yeshua's title, King of Kings and Master of Masters. He is the servant that Yeshua elevates, just like Joseph was elevated as second in the kingdom. Revelation chapter 19, verse 10.
So now that I went ahead and shared with you the rod of iron from Revelation chapter 19 and this person, I'm going to rewind it a little bit more to see who this person is speaking with John and where is he speaking from. The person that John wanted to worship but said, no, I'm a fellow servant. I'm a brother of yours. I have the testimony of Yeshua. Worship Elohim. Who is this person? Where is this person speaking from? I'm going to go ahead and rewind this chapter a little bit and go back into Revelation 19 before this happens, before John is told about the marriage supper of the Lamb, to see where this person is speaking from and get more information on this person to prove who this person to be.
Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I, John, fell before his feet to worship him. And he said to me, behold, stop, I am a fellow slave of yours and of your brothers, having the testimony of Yeshua. Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. Like I said, Revelation 19, verse 10 is a strange verse, it seems, because John goes to worship the one of whom the voice that came out from the throne in heaven in Revelation 19:5. So everybody thinks that this voice coming through the throne is Yeshua, but then this person says he is a fellow slave of John's. He's of John's brothers, which means he's likely an Israelite or a Yehudahite, a Judahite, and has the testimony of Yeshua, the same testimony that he has. So he's on the same level as John. He doesn't receive worship. He's a man. This does not appear to be Messiah Yeshua, and I say that because in Revelation chapter 1, Messiah Yeshua, as I've already said, is self-described as the Alpha and the Omega, the Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last. And also in Revelation chapter 1, he says, I'm the first and the last a second time. I am he that liveth and was dead. Yeshua was dead. And behold, I'm alive forevermore, so be it. And then in Revelation 12:16, he's described as one like the Son of Man. And then when he's speaking to John, he gives the information to the seven churches, the messages to the seven churches that John has to do. He then says, as I also received of my Father. Yeshua the Son speaking here. Yeshua Elohim Shaddai, the Son, speaking. Yahweh Shaddai, the Son, speaking.
And the Aleph Tav, Alpha Omega, Yahweh Elohim Almighty, Shaddai, receives worship. Yet this person that is speaking with John does not receive worship.
So what I'm saying, in Revelation 19, this person is the person who has the voice of Revelation chapter 19, verse 5.
Revelation chapter 19, verse 5. And a voice came out of the throne, saying, Praise our Elohim, all ye his servants, and ye that fear him, both small and great. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and many waters, as the voice of the mighty thundering, saying, HallelwYAH. For Yahweh Elohim omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. And he saith unto me, Right blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are true sayings of Elohim, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren, and have the testimony of Yeshua. Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. So after this voice came out of the throne, announcing people to praise our Elohim, all ye servants, the voice is now here, and this person said, I am thy fellow servant. So that a servant calls out to his fellow servants to praise our Elohim. And this person has a voice of a great multitude, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thunderings.
And that person doesn't receive worship. So who is the person in Revelation 19, verse 5, that is speaking out of the throne that does not receive worship and directs worship to Elohim? Who is this person who doesn't receive worship? Revelation chapter 3, verse 21, a promise to the one overcoming. Quote, this is Messiah Yeshua speaking. Quote, the one overcoming, I, Messiah Yeshua, will give to him, the one overcoming, to sit with me, Messiah Yeshua, in my throne, Messiah Yeshua,
Throne.
as I also overcame and sat with my Father in his throne. Messiah Yeshua is plainly telling us that the one overcoming is going to be exalted to come sit with him, Messiah Yeshua, which means this one overcoming is going to become a co-regent and sitting in Messiah Yeshua's throne. This is amazing information. And this person is the Messiah of Psalm chapter 2, the son of David. So wow, I just shared with you Revelation 3:21. I've talked about that in my video from over 3 years ago, about the one overcoming. I will give to him to sit with me in my throne, as I also overcame and sat with my Father in his throne, said Messiah Yeshua. And here we see this person again in Revelation chapter 11, verse 15. Quote, and the seventh cherub trumpeted, and there were great rumblings of thunder, saying, quote, the kingdoms of this world have become our Elohim's, even of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever.
So plainly, here in Revelation chapter 11, verse 15, it says that Elohim has his Messiah. So this is the same as Psalm chapter 2, Yahweh's anointed, Yahweh's Messiah. This is the same thing as Yeshua says regarding this person in Revelation chapter 2, quoting Psalm 2, to the overcomer, to the one overcoming. So plainly, this right here, Revelation 11, verse 15, this is just in line with Psalm 2, that the kingdoms of this world have become our Elohims, even of his Messiah. That goes in with Genesis 49:10. That goes in with Numbers 24:17. That goes in with Revelation chapter 2, Psalm 2, and elsewhere throughout the scriptures.
And it said of his Messiah, Elohim's Messiah. Yeshua is Elohim. He receives worship in heaven. This person that John tried to worship in heaven, attempted to worship in heaven, that was sitting in the throne with Yeshua, is not Elohim because he won't receive worship. He says worship Elohim. So when it says the kingdoms of this world, again Psalm 2, have become our Elohims, even of his Elohims, Yeshua Elohim's Messiah, and he, Yeshua Elohim's Messiah, shall reign forever and ever here on earth. Okay, as I speculated, Messiah Yeshua is going to reign in heaven because he's the king and priest of heaven. This person's here on earth. And like I said, this whole rapture, I think that there's going to, when the kingdom of heaven comes to earth, it's going to be a blended reality, augmented reality, I should say. Like when Elisha opened up the eyes of his servant and he saw the spiritual realm around him. Similar thing like that, possibly, where when humanity sees the heavens roll away like a scroll, they're going to get to see into the kingdom of Elohim, into the spiritual realm around them, but we're living in physical bodies. So some sort of augmented, blended reality type thing. I don't understand it. I don't think we will until it happens. So again, Revelation chapter 1, we clearly see that Messiah Yeshua is Elohim. In Revelation 1:8, I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the ending. It says Adonai Yahweh, the one who is and who was and who is coming, the Almighty, Shaddai. Revelation 1:11, I am the Alpha and Omega, Aleph and Tav, the first and the last. Revelation 1, verse 17 through 18, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. So be it. Revelation chapter 1, 12 through 16, his appearance is described as one like unto the Son of Man. So Elohim's Messiah is the one overcoming. HallelwYAH. And he overcomes by the blood of the Lamb and by the testimony of Messiah Yeshua. He's the end-time servant. So Elohim's Messiah is the one overcoming in the book of Revelation. And here, as I shared, here are all right here from my previous video that I did of the 7 churches. Here are all the promises. I have all the promises right here to the overcomer in the 7 churches. The letters to the 7 churches, here they are. I got the promise right here to the overcomer. That's in the message to the Ephesians, the church, the congregation at Ephesus. Here's the one, the promises to the overcomer in the message to Smyrna. Here is the promises to the overcomer in the message to the congregation at Pergamos. Here's the promises to the overcomer in the message to the congregation at Thyatira. Here is the promises to the overcomer in the message to the congregation at Sardis. Here is the promises to the overcomer in the message to the congregation in Philadelphia. And here is the promises to the overcomer that's in the message to the congregation in Laodicea. So these messages is not corporate, it's to the one overcoming, who is Yahweh's Messiah, Yahweh's anointed, spoken in Psalm chapter 2.
And if you have not watched this video, you need to watch this video. This is a video that I just put out a few days ago where I went around the 7 cities of the 7 churches or the 7 congregations in Turkey. And I talk about the message to the overcomer versus the messages to the 7 churches. So you need to watch this video. It was a really cool video to make, and I hope that you're blessed by watching that video. So take a look at that video, link in the description.
And then here we see at the end of the book of Revelation, chapter 22, it says, I, Yeshua, sent my cherub, my messenger, to testify these things to you over the congregations. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. Now, that's something. Yeshua is the bright and morning star. And if I go all the way back to the promise here in Revelation chapter 2, verse 26 to 29, and we see Psalm 2, it also says, and I will give to him the morning star. That's Revelation 22:16, what I just read. Now, the word morning here for morning star is different than the word in Revelation 22:16. It's the early star, or the star of the morning, is given to this person. So that is something that's something to consider, that this person, Yeshua, gives him the morning star. And that's, again, the word is a little bit different, but it's translated the same in the English. It's something maybe I gotta take a look more at. But they're so very similar. The early star, that's how it's translated. So I, Yeshua, have sent my cherub, my messenger, to testify these things to you over the congregations. I am the root and offspring of David, the bright and morning star. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And the one hearing, let him say, come. And the one thirsting, let him come. And the one desiring, let him take of the water of life freely. Freely I've received, freely I give. For I testify together with everyone, hearing the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, Yahweh will add upon him the plagues having been written in this book. Deuteronomy 4:2. And if anyone takes away from the words of this book of this prophecy, Yahweh will take away his part from the book of life, and out of the holy city, and out of the things having been written in this book. The one testifying these things says, yes, I am coming quickly, so be it. Yes, come, Yeshua, Yahweh, the grace of our Master, Yeshua, Messiah, be with you all. So be it.